Hello and you're welcome to Business Daily on Trust TV. My name is Chamun Dabeng and I will be your host. Let's talk numbers. On Monday, the National Bureau of Statistics released the Consumer Price Index for the month of July, and Nigeria's headline inflation rate has gone up from 18.6% to 19.64%, while food inflation currently sits at 22.02%, and it is 2.05% higher than last month's 20.6%. Now, joining me in the studio today is economist and president of Chartered Institute of Customer Relationship Management, Dr. Aliyu Ilyas. Now, you're welcome to the show,
Thank you,
Dr. Aliyu. Now, what would you say are the triggers behind this recent hike in the inflation rate?
Definitely, it's coming virtually month by month basis now, and we see that the spike is just increasing every now and then. But the fact is, it's a function of many things that has come to play at the same time. You know, we have actually energy problem in Nigeria. Purchasing power is very, very low. We have global crisis coming out from COVID-19 and a whole lot of things. Perhaps countries that have gotten to plan for an absorber wouldn't have feel it this much, because we are also in the challenge of insecurity. So it's a function of many things. If you look at the mystery index itself, it's revealed the combination, the economic indicator that brings about this challenge. And you know, the higher the mystery index, the harder the economy on individuals in Nigeria. And this is the basis for the problem in Nigeria.
All right, so there's always a question around the accuracy. Of course, we're not trying to go at the National Bureau of Statistics,
right,
but, you know, does it really depict the true market reality that Nigerians are facing out there?
Well, I will agree with them, because if you look at it, this inflation is actually food-driven basis. Because if you look at food inflation itself, let's look at state by state. If you look at Kwara, it's about 29%. And on the average on the Nigerian economy is 22% food inflation.
Yes.
So it's a function of food inflation, energy problem, insecurity challenge, global purchasing. But remember, the supply chain of a lot of consumables, let's even look at staple foods, is becoming a serious challenge. So if you look at the purchasing power, it even brings more challenge to the economy. Because the supply chain process, you know, the movement of things from maybe Russia, Ukraine, and globally is becoming a very serious issue. And that's why you see a serious spike in the dollar naira difference. So it's a big issue that we need to have a cushion effect. So we need an intentional economic policy to bring this down. Nevertheless, CBN has come up with lending rates, increasing it to 14%. But if you look at Nigeria economy, would that solve the problem? So we need a combination of monetary policy, fiscal policy, and also Nigeria itself need to look inward and look at what to bring food to Nigerians' table. So it's a big issue. If you look at the mystery index, it's a combination of what? Inflation itself, which we said we have 19.64. We have unemployment itself is a problem on its own. And also we have lending rate at 14. So if you add these two together, it gives you this amount. If you now look at the growth rate, because you must sacrifice, CBN is trying to sacrifice growth rate, you know, to help inflation. So if you look at that, we have 62.79, and it's a very high one. If at all, on a world basis, Nigeria is still doing well compared to some countries. But if you look at your capacity, exports, you know, population-wise, if you look at Nigeria and South Africa in Africa, we don't compare ourselves with countries that don't do export like us. We are the major exporter, and we have a lot of earnings from that. But the challenge, and that question is this: global oil is at the peak. Are we benefiting? The answer is no.
It raises the question, really, do we even have any bragging rights when we come out and say, oh, we're major exporters, if at the end of the day we still need to import the finished product? I mean, where is our stance on that?
The fact remains that we are in a rent seeker. When it comes to oil business, we are purely what? Rent seeker. And what is rent seeker? When you have a commodity, you have the power to even have it right from the beginning. But you need to export it down to another country for them to refine it. Then they bring it back to you and sell it to you. So who determines the price? It's global that determines the price. I don't think we have our own refinery. You know, we can easily refine locally, then you sell locally. But now we are subject to global price. And that's why you see that there is serious subsidy going on. And if care is not taken, Nigeria government may be forced to remove the subsidy.
All right, so we have Nigeria's inflation figures over the the past 5 years. That is from 2019 up until date. Yes, there we go. So in January, we have it showing here all the way down to September, ending at 11.24%. And there's so much more moving into the 2020 and the 2021. Of course, those 2 years were definitely not funny for any economy out there. And right now, we're still facing the effects of both the COVID-19 pandemic. As we do remember, the entire world was on lockdown at some point. But right now, what are some of the structural challenges that have plagued the country that we're still dealing with these effects up until now?
Well, the fact just remains that coming from the COVID-19, we have to look at it from that level. It's a global problem, and a lot of countries, even Nigeria, do well to an extent in that scenario. But the fact just remains that insecurity problem becomes a very serious issue. Energy problem. I don't say energy. We're not only looking at even the PMS alone, but you need to look at diesel, because diesel itself is what manufacturer use for production. So if for me, if you even ask me, we need more subsidy on this compared to PMS itself, because even people that the truck that will bring in the PMS also are relied on what on diesel. And if you also look at production itself, which is a serious issue that I think the Nigerian government need to seriously come in to provide more funds for manufacturers in Nigeria, because now the CBN is increasing the lending rate to 14%. What does that mean? It means manufacturer will stop, reduce production, and when they reduce production, it will bring in more unemployment. We are doing 33.3% unemployment now. So if you look at that, all these things, and the major thing is the purchasing power is becoming more shrinking, because we have cost push inflation. Things are just moving higher. In fact, over summer, even 500%. And we are just starting, if you ask me, because the effect of Ukraine-Russia war is just coming on board now, because the price of bread is about 800 naira now.
And it's just coming on board. It's been going on for a couple of months.
The effect itself is just coming on board, and that's why we said that if government want to do, now it's corn period. I mean maize. It's a good supplement that at least if you cannot get a wheat, if you cannot get a bread, what do you go for? You go for that. But the fact is, those that will even go to the farm to do that do not even have the confidence to enter the farm because of insecurity and kidnapping. So it's a combination of many problems. And Nigeria need to decipher a maze, because this is a new problem that deserves new solutions.
All right, so just taking a look at the why and the reasons why the inflation rate has spiked up so high. Right now, the country is facing issues with availability of forex. We're currently in an election year, and there's, the volatility of the naira. How have these, factors affected the current inflation rate?
Well, the fact just means that for now, we will not like to put the upcoming election, 2023 is not in it again, because if we are only looking at insecurity, we are looking at energy problem, Do you notice that the increment even in PMS, people did not complain? Do you know why? We have all seen that, yes, Nigeria is in serious danger, that there is urgent need for special attention. Now, coming to 2023 election, it has not come to play at all. It's going to start, we are going to begin to see that in November, because, September is when the campaign proper will start. And what would that bring? That will bring artificial little solution. There will be more money in the economy, because, there is need for them to galvanize, spend more, and bring, and government also will want to work on security more, spend more. So things will come to normalcy for that period. And I tell you, the next government that is coming is going to face it really serious, because they have two options. Is either you now decide to do what? To remove subsidy and you balance the economy, because there is no way the incoming government will not think of removing the subsidy. So Nigeria should brace up and expect that.
All right, so you've just brought up another controversial discussion that has been out there. That's the issue of subsidy.
Right.
Yeah. So a lot of Nigerians feel it should be taken off, while others feel like the country isn't prepared. But considering the fact that we're not a production country, we don't really produce anything at this point. Isn't removing subsidy going to just increase the misery index on the Nigerian populace?
Wow, it's a big question to ask, but as an economist, I must tell you that in the long run, Nigeria may have to remove the subsidy, Because if you look at not removing the subsidy, it has negative impact on the economy. Because if you remove the subsidy and there's more money, because now if you look at even the budget itself, let's watch out for the next budget. It's going to be a serious deficit budget, because we wouldn't have anything to even cater for anything. Look at the debt ratio, you know, to what we have. You see that there is a serious problem, and the only way the Nigerian government can generate more money is through oil and gas and oil industry. And now looking at oil industry, it is now private business now, which shareholders want to know what. So there's going to be reduction in money going to FAC, federal allocation account, and consequently we'll have less money to run the economy. So we are now very soon also.
Does this mean there's going to be another increase in the rate of borrowing from the Nigerian government?
We don't have choice except we remove subsidy, and also paying salary is going to become a very serious issue for the federal and the state. So there is a need to look at that. That's why I said any incoming government, be it any political party, need to really fight and look at how to remove a subsidy. If not, we'll have nothing for. We're not talking about capital projects. We're talking about recurrent expenditure itself. So for me, I think subsidy has to go.
All right. So you had earlier brought up the Monetary Policy Committee. Of course, we do know that the benchmark interest rate had increased from 11.5 to 13. Right now, it's about 14%.
Right.
So first of all, do you foresee another tightening of the policy, the benchmark interest rate? Do you think it's going to go higher? And then also, of course, the reasons why the MPC decided on this increment in the benchmark interest rate was to curb inflationary pressures. That was the reason behind the 13%. It's still the reason behind the 14%. Is it too early to see the effects of this decision?
Well, the fact just means that MPC need to address the Nigeria problem away from conventional way. That's what we need to do now. Now, the conventional inflation control is through maybe decrease in government expenditure and encourage decrease in even private business expenditure, maybe by increasing tax through maybe fiscal policy. But if you look at that, it's counterproductive. That's the problem now. Now, if you say at this Nigerian level of economy, it is counterproductive, because if you say you want to increase more lending rates, you know, increase it from 40, maybe move ahead, it's going to have a counterproductive effect on manufacturing sector, which is a major backbone of the economy itself. Because if you say I should come for 16% interest, I would rather not do business, because there is no way. And forex is another problem. You know, if at all I'm still doing it, the byproduct I'm going to buy for further production, I'm going to buy it in dollar, and dollar itself is on the high side, about 680 or so in parallel market.
Yeah,
so
it's literally between 600 to 750. Yeah, thereabout.
So now, if you look at that now, so I would say as a businessman, no, I would rather hold on, not do business for now. Let me keep my money, because why? During inflation challenges also, it's better you keep your money at a better interest rate. So a businessman may think, don't let me go for manufacture or production. Let me just go for keep this money at a better interest rate. So we need to look at that. MPC need to sit down and look at that and address this issue squarely. So I think they should just hold on and leave it at that 14%.
All right, so now that we're looking at a 19.64% inflation rate, what does this mean for the average Nigerian where their disposable income is concerned? You know, we do have to look at the environment that we're currently in. It hasn't really encouraged, you know, a lot of saving and a lot of investment for Nigerians. What does this mean for the people?
Well, the fact just remains that, let's just go back to mystery index. You see, what does that? It erodes purchasing power of Nigerians, because we have cost push inflation. And when we say cost push inflation, it simply means that you have more money, but you can only buy a little, which is a serious problem. Everything has gone, you know, different to different level. Even the common staple foods, you can see that we cannot even afford. Bread that we buy at 300, 400 is now 800 naira. You know, normal rice that you think it's, you know, before now rice is seem to be what we can easily, you know, but now it's over 25,000 naira. So a lot of things are done. We have little, you know, the purchasing power is not there, but things are going haywire. So it's a big issue that we need to look at. And if you look at that, it's not only normal cost push inflation that is causing it. insecurity is there, energy is there. You know, because an average transporter who think I'm buying fuel at additional price and not even buying it at higher rate, I still spend more time in buying it. So you now translate that to what you transfer to what? To the consumers. So anything that is expensive is going to be transferred to who? To the consumer. So the challenge is that we have lost it over time. I wish there is a way we can jumpstart and get there, because you can't tell me that if we are not refining, we cannot still get it until you start refining, because it's form major foreign earnings for Nigeria, and that will have a multiplier effect even on dollar naira, a difference. So the major thing we need to do is that I'm sure we are expecting Dangote refinery,
yes,
and we are also giving out some license to private refinery. So government should double up and make sure that our refineries are working. That is the only solution for energy problem. And when you solve energy problem, you have solved a handful of challenges that is facing the Nigeria economy.
All right, we'll take a short break, and when we get back, we'll continue our discussion. Don't go anywhere.
With me today is the Governor of Kano State, His Excellency Dr. Umar Abdullahi Ganduji.
First of all, I have to congratulate you, the Media Trust, that has given birth to the Daily Trust. And now the Media Trust is giving another birth to Trust TV.
My guest today is the Executive Governor of Plateau State, His Excellency Simon Bako Lalong.
Thank you very much, and also opportunity, and I congratulate you for introducing the television, because Daily Trust has always been my people.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency.
Thank you.
You're welcome back to Business Daily on Trust TV. My name is Chamun Dabeng, and I'm here with economist Dr. Aliyu Ilyas, and we're currently taking a look at Nigeria's recent headline inflation figures. Yes, it's gone from 18.6 to 19.64%. That is it's quite a hike, 1.82% month-on-month increase, and it, of course, rightfully so, it's going to cause a lot of worries for so many Nigerians out there, because they do have to think about savings, they do have to think about how they're going to eat, transportation, and all of that. These are things that Nigerians are facing. But at this point, the country right now has basically pulled a trifecta. So we have double-digit inflation, we have a high unemployment rate right now that so many Nigerians are dealing with, and a misery index of 71%. 71%. Actually, let's take a look at that. So we have it right here, the misery index. So consumer price index for July 2022 is 19.64. Unemployment rate is 33.3%. Youth unemployment 42.5%. Underemployment 22.8%. Poverty rate 42%. And of course, like I said earlier on, the misery index is currently at 71%, which is very, very, very high. What do you make of these figures here?
So if you look at the combination and economic indicator that bring about this mystery index, you see that it's a very serious, like I said, the more higher it is, the harder the economy on individuals in Nigeria, and the poor, the purchasing power. Once there is a challenge like that, purchasing power becomes so much eroded that Nigerians have a serious issue. So major solutions that we think Nigeria should go embark on, it's to make sure that the employment is open. Sometimes, how many people does the country want to employ? It's not possible to employ everybody, but you provide enabling environment for people. There's a different system and different politics. Politics that you can even play. Looking at Keynesian theory, that government must intervene in a whole lot of things. So it's things that government need to look at and sit down and decipher a new way of solving Nigerian problems. Because if you want to fix and look at this conventional way of solving problem, I think this problem calls for new solution. And if you look at government, every day government is looking at how to get more fund, because government need more income to solve a lot of problems. And that's why government went ahead and said there is telecom taxation.
Yes.
They want to say, no, if Nigerians are called, let's go to telecoms and collect money from different people. And you can see that a lot of people are saying, well, it's just too much on government because we pay several taxes. And what does that translate to? It simply means that people from the telcos will transfer that to what? To the consumer. So we're going to have a shrinking purchasing power the more. So it's a very serious problem that we need to look at through monetary policy and fiscal policy.
All right. So taking a look at our current, current misery index that we're facing, 71%, it is quite high, and dealing with so many things. Now, what are the factors that are triggering such a high misery index? Does it seem as though, it doesn't really go away? We have different schemes that have been put out by the government, different policies. In fact, let's even talk about the poverty alleviation scheme to remove 10 million Nigerians from poverty. But it seems as though the more that we're creating these schemes, the more that we're putting out these policies, the more that we're giving out these loans and these grants, more and more Nigerians are being pushed further into poverty. At what point does it end? At what point does this, find a solution for it?
I talked about counterproductive policies, and that's a problem. And a lot of policies somersault in Nigeria. That's a major problem. If you look at it, this government would have done better well in agriculture. Very, very well. But what you wrote that is insecurity. Because no matter what you do in that, because major employer of Nigerian labor is still farming. So now if Nigeria has encouraged anchor borrower, different policy on farming, and everything has come to play, the major problem now is insecurity itself. So if you don't solve insecurity, how will people go back to farm? Now I can tell you that to an extent we have food sufficient in terms of rice production. Imagine if it goes around to other staple food like that. It brings about a succor to this challenge economy. Perhaps, I think if we do not even have food sufficient to an extent now, it would have been worse. Because we need to score government to an extent in terms of food sufficiency, especially rice production. Imagine if we don't have that, and the problem of Ukraine, Russia now come on board. What happens? It would have been a serious issue. And I must tell you that it's not only Nigerian problem, it's a global problem. Ghana is facing their own, South Africa. But the problem is that how do you have the cushion, effects? How well do you prepare? When you see the economy, what do you use to attack? So now, and if you also look at unemployment now, is a very big issue. It is going higher. And like I said, you are increasing the lending rate, and manufacturer is doing what? Is trying to reduce what? His production level. Perhaps you need diesel to operate his machines, right? You also need to get foreign exchange to buy goods from across the world. So because of that, the person is spending low and is reducing his production, and consequently we have serious unemployment. And when there is unemployment, it brings what? More poverty, and more poverty even leads to what? Serious unrest in the country. Look, if you see Nigeria, serious challenge. So if you have your firm or your industry, maybe in the countryside, you'd be scared that what do I do? Unless your business is in urban center, you have to think again before you go back to that.
All right, so what you just said now still brings me back to the issue of making investments. And of course, we've had a couple of issues as far as FDI, that's foreign direct investment, is concerned. Now, what is going to happen to that particular part of Nigeria's economy? Now,
the fact is that if you look at our foreign direct investment index, it's still coming down. People will prefer to go countries like Ghana, where they have stable power supply, because energy from a fulcrum, you don't have choice. You just have to get the energy part right. So foreign direct investment is shrinking day by day because Nigeria, the volatility in the economy in terms of insecurity, the insufficient energy, the foreign direct, foreign exchange challenge. So these three problems are major problems that no organization wants to come and invest. Perhaps, that's what is happening now. They will go to a country like Rwanda, go to a country like Ghana, produce there and do what? And bring it back to Nigeria. And you know, we have a consuming nation. We are not producing anything. We have about 200 million people. You know, that's why even I was in Rwanda. I discovered that Rwanda is manufacturing some Volkswagen. And now look at the number. There are 13 million in terms of population. So who is going to buy those products in that country? Definitely they are producing for Nigerian consumption, because Nigeria have about 100 million people that can purchase, that need to buy such things. So that is why we need to sit down, revisit all our policy, do what can bring people. And I think maybe by December, we still expect maybe our power supply to improve. So if you have good power supply, we have enough maybe PMS diesel to run our businesses. People want to do business but the enabling environment is a problem. So for foreign direct investment to be in Nigeria, or Nigeria to be a destination of foreign direct investment, we must get our energy, availability. You know, we must also make sure we tackle this insecurity. Nobody wants to invest in a volatile environment.
All right, so should we be expecting to see more disinvestments or divestments in the country?
Well, if perhaps we are in the election year, so to say, people want to see what will happen, and they want to see who is coming next, and the policy is going to bring on board. Because a sensible investor wants to look at what happened next, because they forecast a lot. They don't look at present now, what happened in the next 4 years. Because if you even invest now, you can't get the profit there and then. You have to invest over time and wait for the profit itself. So they will look at who is coming, and perhaps if you look at the person that will rule Nigeria should be a developmentalist. You know, when we say developmentalist, it's not basic economics. It's not that. You must have people who can really plan the economy itself and look at the trajectory of where we are going and the likely end result.
I think that the key word at the end of the day is intentionality. It's structure.
It must be intentional. Every economy are based on intention.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Aliyu, for joining us. We have economist Dr. Aliyu Ilyas in the studio with us, and yes, he's given us his expert opinion on this current situation. Well, we have come to the end of our show for today, and I would once again like to thank my guest. Thank you so much. And to our viewers out there, thank you so much for watching. Do come back again. Let's talk numbers. My name is Chamun Dabeng.